Welcome to Whiskey Mountains. I'm Adriana, and yes, this is freaking real. Uh, we're just in the prettiest place. This is where I live in Utah. Real. Look, stick, branch. It's all real. Okay, sorry, I'm kind of in between the shadows today, but it's just a perfect spot. And today, we are doing the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. I was about to say ECBP. That's what it stands for, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, B521. So this is at 118.2 proof. This used to be a $60. Now it's gone up to $70 in my area, and I think in most areas. But this is a 12-year-old barrel proof bourbon. So really, that's a good price. And you'll hear a lot of people say Elijah Craig barrel proofs are such a good deal because it used to be 60, now 70, but even at that, you're getting a 12-year-old age-stated barrel-proof bourbon. Granted, the B521 is a much lower proof than we're used to seeing in these ECBPs, but that's still a sturdy proof. I think higher proofs are really good too. I love some of the old Elijah Craig barrel proofs, do not get me wrong. There's just a lot of complexity, and as you let it kind of air out, it just gets sort of yummier and yummier because there's just so much going on. And I think that's why so many of us enjoy that high proof. I don't know, sometimes drinking like a really good high proof whiskey is like reading a good book, where at the beginning you just immediately have fallen in love with the characters, and then the plot just gets more complicated and complex, and the characters really develop, and you just really enjoy it and get into it. That's kind of what happens as I think a high proof bourbon opens up. So there's a nerdy way of thinking of it, I guess. Lesson of the day: everything around you can 100% affect what you're smelling, and what you smell affects what you taste. So keep that in mind. So my nosy notes might be a bit off today because I feel like the flora here is very aromatic. This tree smells very appley. It's not an apple tree, but whatever. I'm gonna say this one is very different. Very different outside. I think this tree is very smelly. Because out here, it's not really a go for me. And yeah, I don't like it out here. Oh, and I might move to another spot actually. Okay, we're in a different spot. It's a little less covered in aromatic, although there's still like a bush right in my face, but this was a good spot to attach the phone, so whatever. Let's try again. Now I'm getting a little more of what I got at home. Okay, cool. That was weird. Now it smells much better. Now I'm getting like the nice, more rounded, nutty, like nutty leather oakiness. Sorry, I'm like watching this bug. Totally distracted. You know when you see a bug and then you feel like there's a bug on you? It's kind of one of those. Now I'm getting that more like rounded nuttiness that I like about this. It's very like peanut buttery with like a little bit of leather, and not like, so a lot of other ECBPs you get a lot of cherry. I'm not getting cherry, but I am getting some kind of maybe plum, maybe raisin. I don't know, something like that. See, I don't think it's bad. I like, that finish is like really nice and lingering. Like, it's definitely not deep and complex in flavors the way a lot of ECBPs are. You know, normally it kind of hits your palate and you're just like taking it all in. Whereas this one is just kind of a nice, easy drinker. And I think that's why I don't think of it as poorly as everybody else. I think everybody else is coming into it, which makes sense. Everybody else is coming into it thinking of that typical ECBP profile, that very deep, very complex, often a lot of cherry, deep woody, nutty notes kind of thing. Whereas this one's much lighter, and it's almost got, like, it's definitely got a lot of oak going on, but it's just lighter in complexity and just kind of an easy drinker. And I can see that with ECBP, we kind of expect this more complex drink. But I'm not mad at this one either. I don't know. See, especially in the finish, there's really not a lot going on in the palate. But in the finish, you get like this oakiness and like a little bit of peppery tobacco sort of thing going on that I like. I tend to like those oaky, leathery, and then like bits of spice notes. So I enjoy this bourbon. I'm gonna let it air out for a bit though, and come back to it. Often a higher proof bourbon, even though this is the lowest proof for an ECBP, still a higher proof bourbon. And often, you know, some of the more interesting notes and just flavors come out once it's aired out a bit. So gonna let this air out a bit and then come back. I like the nose on it right now though. I mean, how is a hike like this even freaking real? It's so pretty here, y'all. So today I'm out on in Immigration Canyon, which is very close to my work, to the university, to Salt Lake City. I mean, this is like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, if that, less than 20 really, drive to get a trail like this. Are you kidding? Immigration Canyon, where it's at. Right now we're on the Great Western Trail, and I started on the Mormon Trail. I don't know, went about 2.5 miles in or so, and I'm headed back. Gorgeous area. It's a bit steep, but not bad. Hiking this in late May, and it's really not that hot. We're at 7,600 feet elevation right now, so you know it's a little bit cooler when you're up at that high. But this is a beaut. Highly recommend Immigration Canyon if you're on a short trip just to the Salt Lake City area. Super close and just so pretty. I mean, right now it's so green. In the fall, it's ridiculous. It is just crazy green right now. And like right now in the spring. And a good bit of this is shaded. Like the first part of the trail, that Pioneer Trail, Mormon Trail, whatever, it was quite shaded. It's a gorgeous area. Highly, highly recommend. So, a very quick and easy trip, and you get a lot of the aspens that are a big part of Utah. So, and I think are some of my favorite trees. I just love that white bark. But yeah, all right. This whiskey ain't gonna drink itself, so should be done airing out for you guys. Back to the whiskey, y'all. Okay, standing to film this last bit over in a slightly different spot closer to the trail, just so you can see some of the mountains behind me, and just holding the camera. So, but now the whiskey has aired out. There's a nice little bit of dirt in there, as always appropriate on a hike. I really like the nose on this one, honestly. Like, no, it's not very ECBP. No. But I like it. I think it's a yummy nose. It's just got this like leathery oakiness that and almost like a creamy leathery oakiness that I think is, I wish men smelled like this. All right. Isn't this glass, whatever, so appropriate? Like, it's so cool. And it's metal, so I don't have to worry about it breaking. I can just stuff it in my backpack. Now that it's opened up, so I definitely get that like charred oak nuttiness, leather. But I feel like a hint of that cherry that you might expect from an Elijah Craig barrel proof. Not a ton, My arm is getting tired holding it like this. This was not a great idea, so I'm gonna go ahead and sit down. You get it. There's mountains. Hold on, let me take another step. So it definitely has more of a drying finish, and you tend to get that when it's oaky like this. It's funny because it almost feels older than its 12-year-old, but not like perfectly rounded out. The palate's not super complex or hitting you crazy hard, but it's, for me, it's just that it's enjoyable. Like, no, it's not super complex, but it's yummy, and I just enjoy it. I don't know what to tell you. I like the oak and sort of spice. I do get that it's a bit drying. I don't find it crazy drying. To me, I've had worse that I didn't like. I like that sip. There I got like some pepper in the end. Almost like salt and pepper in the end. But still mostly like leather and char and oak. Ooh, bug. So for me, this is a yummy 12-year-old age-stated 118 proof bourbon. I dig it. I think it's 100% worth it because I enjoy it. The bugs are interrupting me, excuse me. For me, this is just an enjoyable 12-year-old bourbon that's at 118 proof, which is a nice, kind of easy sipping proof. So on that ground, I really enjoy it. I think I enjoy the oakiness. It actually might be fun for blending, you know, with something sweeter. It would bring the nutty char oakiness to maybe to something else that doesn't have so much of that, like an Old Forester or something. But I don't know that you want to spend $60 to $70 on a bourbon to blend it. But if you didn't like it, I could see it blending really nicely and bringing a lot of yummy oaky char to something. But I honestly enjoy it on my own, though. I think it's yummy. I just can understand that it does not fit in the Elijah Craig barrel proof profile and what you are expecting. So I can see why people are upset because it doesn't fit with that profile. I think it's a yummy bourbon on its own if you're not thinking about ECBPs. But you put it on a flight of ECBPs, it probably will lose. I know it's lost for a few of the other channels that I watch, like the Bourbon Wrench or Bourbon Bites. All their links will be below. But I think on its own, it's just a yummy one. So yeah, if you had access to a C920 and could get that for $60 versus this, of course you'd get the C920. If I got this for like $50-$60, I'd be crazy happy about it if I wasn't thinking about ECBP. So I think that's just the thing we're all getting hung up on. So, but for me, I actually like this bourbon. I think it's yummy. I'm not mad I got it, and honestly, we actually got a backup bottle. You saw, you know, a good bit of this is missing, so I've definitely had a few pours of this, and at home I like it more, honestly, than I liked it out here. Oftentimes you lose some of the sweetness outdoors, and so it's not quite as rounded and you know, the bits of caramel that I normally get at home. I'm gonna hike on out of here. Thanks for joining me on Whiskey Mountains. Salud. Trying to prove it. But I think as far as that, fucking bugs, it's yummy. I just think and if I got this, come on, freaking bees. It can just be delicious and just sort of, I don't know, revealing new notes as it airs out. Is that weird?